Hello, and welcome to this segment of Arts Talk. I'm Sherri Burr, and my co-host for this segment is Alexis Carver. Welcome, Alexis.
Thank you.
And our special guest is author Penny Durant, who wrote this wonderful children's book called Sniffles, Sneezes, Hiccups, and Coughs. And we're going to let Alexis do the interview, so please ask Penny a question.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I was hoping that you would tell us about your evolution of your career as a children's book author, how you got started and how did you get to the point where you are now?
Okay. I always liked children's books. Even when the first thing I wrote that I really liked was in junior high, and it was a story for kids. And that was very not in at the time. I should have been writing something sexy, I guess, but I kind of liked this mouse named Sylvester. So anyway, that's where that started. My degrees are in education. I was an elementary school teacher, and then after my first child was born, I went back for a master's degree in early childhood education. But it was during that time that I realized that I wasn't going to go to school for the rest of my life because I'd already done that. I felt I'd done enough. And my favorite part of school was writing. When the professor would assign a paper, everyone else in the class would, and I would, goody, goody, I can't wait. So I knew that what I really enjoyed about school was the writing. And so in the middle of my master's, I started working a lot of tutorials with Richard Van Dongen, and we looked at how children learn to read, the development, and then I didn't write a thesis, but my final paper was on books and stages of development. And then almost everything I did after that was oriented towards writing for kids. And after my second child was born, I was a preschool teacher. I started a preschool and did that for a while until I realized that no matter how little time you spend in the classroom teaching young children, you're always thinking about them. And it didn't pay enough to be my full-time preoccupation.
Right.
And I loved writing. So it started with I own quite a few unpublished manuscripts and broke into children's writing in the nonfiction arena, particularly science, because I guess my background with young children has taught me how to simplify larger concepts. This is a DK reader. It's a level 2. It's for children who are just beginning to read on their own. And so I'm tackling some concepts in it that I think are advanced for the age, but kids that age are very interested in their own bodies and, and everybody else's. And,
Right.
But I do use the word diaphragm in it. All of sneezing, hiccuping, coughing, and yawning has to do with the diaphragm. And so they're getting the science of that as well as a just horrible picture of a young man sneezing in front of a dark cloth. It's really awful. My son said, "Mother, that's gross." And I said, "Yes, but when you were 8, you would have loved it."
That's great. Yeah.
That's true.
So, and then I have written a young adult novel. And
When Heroes Die?
When Heroes Die, it's concerning a young man whose father figure and hero gets AIDS, and at the time it was published, AIDS was in fact a death sentence. And so he's dealing with the fact that his uncle is gay and that he's dying. It did win a national award. from the Lambda.
Can I just show this picture of Penny's book, because you were talking about sneezing, and I thought one of the interesting ones was putting the horse going achoo with the kid sneezing. So who does the illustrations in the photographs?
Someone else.
Someone else.
In children's writing, I think the first thing that beginners think is, oh my gosh, I can't draw. Which is, of course, true for many of us. And I would guess that most of the photos came from photo services, like Corbis, and there's usually an art director who chooses, and then the ones that are drawn, they usually have an in-house illustrator to do that, unless it's a picture book. This is a reader.
Okay.
A picture book is where the illustrations and the words go together, and you really they can't do without each other. They each carry a part of the meaning in the story. But in this case, this is nonfiction, and so they look for photographs, and then when they know what they want, get it from an artist. Usually in New York. If you want to be an artist, you're better off in New York, illustrator.
Okay.
When you're writing for young children, how much of it comes from your position as a teacher, and how much of it comes from your position as a child who loved to read? Or as a child, did you hate to read?
Oh no, I love to read. My mother was an English teacher, and I don't remember not reading. It was just something I did all the time. My brother is a great reader and was an English teacher in high school for a while. And some of what I do is as a teacher because I'm not a scientist. I don't know all the things that I started to write about. They were things that I had to research. I made friends with a couple of science teachers who helped me. One of my books is called Prize-Winning Science Fair Projects, and I knew nothing about science fair projects when I started, and was able to call on other people. I love research. It's one of the things I enjoy the most, and that probably comes from teaching. Some of it comes from being a mom. When Heroes Die has a boy character, and I didn't really have trouble writing from that point of view, partly because I'm the youngest of 3 children with 2 older brothers, and I had 2 boys. So I've always kind of been surrounded by boys.
Wow.
And there's Mom in there saying, they should know this. In the
Okay.
science.
So is there anything final that you'd like the readers to know about sniffles, sneezes, hiccups, and coughs?
Obviously, you need to be like the character on the cover and use your Kleenex.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Carry around. Actually, that was not my title.
It's catchy.
It is catchy, but it does make it seem as if it's about catching a cold, when in fact it's the structure of your body and what happens when you hiccup or cough, sneeze, or yawn.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Penny, and thank you,
you.
Alexis.
Thank you,
And thank you, the audience, for joining us for this segment of Arts Talk with Penny Durant and Alexis Carver.